Leanne Mallet, thanks very much for joining me on 2020 Revision.
Thank you very much for having me, Ralph. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, you're the head of the business portfolio at Upskilled, which is a registered training organisation based in Sydney. Can you take me through your 2020?
Well, what a year it's been for all of us. The COVID started for me quite challenging because we were in Fiji having a well-earned break. So mid-holiday, we had to return in a rush to make sure we weren't locked out of Australia. So we got home from Fiji, only to return to a different workplace, where prior to COVID, I actually had been promoting the value of learning with technology and the desperate need to upskill their L&D facilitators with the online facilitation skills that I saw would be needed in the future. But I wasn't having much success, so I returned to that workplace and just found everybody absolutely scrambling because they had to galvanise a workforce of 2,000 people to work from home, as many organisations had to do, and they did it very successfully. But what that meant for their learning and development team was that all of their facilitators had to quickly learn online facilitation skills. And so they were all, everybody was just giving it their best shot. It was a testament to those employees and those L&D facilitators because they adapted, they were agile, and they collaborated with each other. I was able to hold a webinar for them, giving them some expertise that I've had with online facilitation, given that is my experience. But they were fantastic. They were really impressive. They embraced it. They saw the challenges immediately. They discussed the differences between face-to-face and the challenges in an online classroom compared to a face-to-face classroom. And they did a good job, even though it was really difficult for them because, it was just different design and different facilitation skills needed on the spot.
So what have been the changes in your industry in this bizarre old year?
Very bizarre year. Look, just this rapid change to being able to deliver online learning via virtual facilitation, via online curriculum delivery. So you're seeing a lot of professional development being offered by industry associations. You're seeing a lot of articles on LinkedIn with tips on how to be more effective as an online training provider, how to transition from face-to-face to online. And, for me personally, I can't come soon enough. I mean, COVID could have gone away and nobody needs that. But as far as the change that is being introduced into education delivery, I love it. I've been studying online learning now for 5 years, digital education myself. I've been an online learner for 10 years. I just think it's the future. So it's brought the future to us faster and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm enjoying seeing the industry play catch up, actually. So we've got our regulatory body for the vet sector, ASQA. They've helped training organisations by delaying, registration fees. They're delivering webinars on how to deliver compliant training via what they're calling distance learning. This is the other thing, the terminology. There's no one term that relates to the type of learning that can be done. You hear about online learning, you hear about virtual classrooms, you hear about learning with technology, distance learning, there's just, e-learning, there's so many different terms, the industry is yet to land on what we're actually doing, so or what to call it. But it's good to see that the regulatory body is coming on board. All the industry consultants, the specialists in this area have got a lot to say and a lot to share on LinkedIn. So following a lot of people there. And I'm actually, even this morning, I saw a survey put out by TEXA, which is the higher ed regulatory body, and they surveyed all the university students who had to adapt to online learning, and the feedback was pretty bad, actually. And it was a good idea for them to do that, but the students were seriously unimpressed with the online learning. So I think not just the higher ed sector, but the vet sector, a lot of providers, a lot of universities, they have a lot to learn. There's a lot of development that needs to take place with their staff. There's a lot of redesign that needs to take place. And probably from business perspectives, there's a lot of considerations to take with their strategic planning of the way forward. What does this actually mean for them moving forward?
So in many ways, COVID's probably been a bit of a positive for the learning sector. And I guess what are the learnings that have come out of the global pandemic for your particular industry?
Well, I think it just depends on where you sit as to whether you see it as a positive thing, or it depends on where you were pre-COVID in your thoughts towards online learning. That it all depends on the organisation perspective. I've since changed workplaces. I've gone back to an online learning provider that I've worked with before, a registered training organisation that only offers 100% online. So I'm very much back in my comfort zone. With the learnings that have come out of the pandemic, I think learning is possible virtually, okay? But it's very, very different. It requires the different skills, it's different design, it's different approaches. And just because you're a great face-to-face facilitator and you've been training in classrooms for years, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to transition to online facilitation effortlessly. You're going to have to go back and start learning new skills, maybe, rethinking your whole perspectives, your whole approach about learning and education. The problem with online learning, students can hide. They can hide online. They can not turn their cameras on, especially in workplace learning. If the camera's not on, they can easily be, multitasking, completing other tasks, not paying attention. The facilitator doesn't have the luxury of seeing the body language, that helps them interpret, the emotions and whether people are understanding as they did in the face-to-face classroom. So, and also the engagement, the attention span is so small online. There's data out there saying that for a webinar, people lose interest after about 12 minutes. So, you've got to really be engaging them every 2 to 3 minutes in a virtual classroom. And that's really hard going, yeah. Having said that, when it's done well, it's more efficient. It's more relevant and specific to learners and workplace training needs. And you can really then be quite specific and targeted as to when you're going to do face-to-face training, which can be more costly. And you can reserve that for more complex activities potentially. But I say that because my belief is that technology will, in time, create tools that will allow people to be more engaged and interact more effectively as technology improves. I'm hearing from everyone now, the ultimate, and I heard this before COVID, the ultimate solution is blended learning. That's a bit of face-to-face, a bit of online. Personally, I'm predicting the future is about learning with technology one way or the other. I don't know whether that will actually be in a traditional classroom. A lot of people would probably want to debate me on that and disagree with that, but that's where I'm sitting right here, right now. It's coming full steam ahead.
Absolutely. So how do you see that delicate balance then in between perhaps people that are used to delivering in a face-to-face scenario with an up-and-coming community that want to learn online?
Yeah, it's time to build new skills. The only constant in education and being an educator is change. I've been in the sector for 25 years. Seriously, an effective educator is constantly learning. And this is just another thing that a professional educator and a good educator has to do. And it's hard because there's not much time to do it in, but it's time to learn new skills and it's time to pivot. I hate that word, but one of those words. But it's time to redirect and say, look, I'm either going to move ahead with these changes or stay back in the past. But this is coming, but it's fun. There's a lot of courses, there's short courses, the universities are offering. I think even the new training package for TAE is now offering something to help build those skills in facilitating online or e-learning. So get in there, learn some stuff, join some networks, trial and error, critique yourself, speak to your peers, get somebody else to, record your sessions, get somebody else to look at it and provide feedback, get feedback from your students, just do what you did, when you started as a face-to-face trainer. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend.
So if we look ahead, and I know that turning over to January 1, 2021 isn't going to be the complete silver bullet as far as, I guess, things in the community, and we're waiting on a vaccine, obviously. But what are you looking forward to most in 2021?
Look, besides Donald Trump not being in the American president and focusing on, the workplace, I love change. Change excites me. I'm looking at my current role where I am in my comfort zone of designing curriculum for online learning. We've got a new learning management system, Canvas, we're transitioning to. I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do there. I'm excited about the change that will mean for our online facilitators that have come with us at Upskilled for so long now. I'm excited for them to come along for the ride and to build new skills or to further develop their skills in virtual facilitation. We're moving on from webinars. Webinars seem to be passé now. What comes next? That's what excites me, the exploration of and the trial and error of trying new learning or delivery methods. I'm excited for that. Be it podcasts, perhaps, Ralph, podcasts and education, bringing in more of those, bringing in, online peer supports, virtual classrooms. Is that what the learner's going to want, or the independent, online learner, or do they just want to be left alone and let them navigate their own way through the curriculum and we're just there guiding them, reassuring them that we're there to support them? I'm just looking forward to what it's going to look like as we move forward. Learning, I like learning that will be supported virtually, that where your trainers can be geographically dispersed. I like the idea that we might be able to tap into an international resource pool for specific guest speakers potentially, for, content. I just like that the world is opening up and that our communities of learning, our communities of practice are not going to just be resigned to by geographical limitations anymore, that we'll be able to tap into a larger resource. And I just look forward to flexible learning that empowers the learner to just control their own path and to learn what they want to learn and what they need to learn to be better at their jobs, be more confident as people. Yeah.
Leanne Mallet, thanks very much for joining me on 2020 Revision.
Thanks for having me, Ralph.